Hello, hello, and welcome to Redefining the Significance of You Time for you, by you, because of you. My name is Denise Drinkwalter, and I'm a midlife renewal coach supporting women around the world to lean into and realize the importance of you. This channel aims to provide you, the viewer, with some takeaways that will help you shift, change, reevaluate, and or become way more aware of what is possible for you. We have a variety of incredible guests sharing life experiences that have helped them become the incredible human beings that they are today. Every one of us has had that infamous free time sometime in our lives, and hands up if we've been feeling guilty, embarrassed, and or wrong for taking out that time for ourselves. Well, we are going to help you change that, support you to see what is possible when you take the time for you, by you, because of you. It is such a complete honor and a privilege to introduce our very special guest today, Kate Crow. Kate is a seasoned professional with over 20 years of experience as a life coach, specializing in empowering and transforming individuals using her very unique Shift It method. With a PhD from the School of Hard Knocks, Kate has impacted hundreds of lives through her workshops and personal coaching sessions. Kate's expertise lies in helping shift into their power, combining spirituality, mindset work, and self mastery to help her clients navigate life's challenges with ease and confidence. Kate Crow is your go to guru for transformation and empowerment. And it really is an absolute pleasure to have you on the show today. So, welcome, Kate. I am so excited to have our conversation today.
I am as well. I'm so glad to be here, and I love the work that you're doing for women in my category. Midlife renewal. So it's such a good topic. And, I think women of a certain age can certainly, I know I have gone through that transition of like, whoo, what am I? And now I'm very happily on the other side of 60. And I feel like life is particularly sweet once we get to that age. But your work of really looking at ourselves is just brilliant, because I think that's what makes this time period, this decade, or when we're in that transition, that much sweeter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love what you're saying, that sweet spot, isn't it? Where we don't have to feel the struggles in the same way, but it's kind of like in the same breath, who am I and what's next for me? So it's that getting through that narrow tunnel, because we've lived our lives for everyone. And all of a sudden, things have changed. And now we're like, whoa, who am I? What am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just that transition, right? Of especially if you've been a working person, or if
Yeah.
you've been a mother and a working person, or you've just been a mother, not just because that's such a huge job, but those are multiple roles that I think women play. And then when we kind of get on the other side of 40, then again on 50, and then on 60, the roles and our relationship to life, I think, changes. And it's easy to go into despair, I think, because, whoa, the uncertainty or not knowing. But I think your emphasis on the personal growth and personal development, and me time, you time, and not feeling the guilt of that, it is huge. It's such a, for me, it always makes me feel better when I realize, like, oh, this is just a human thing that we go through, as opposed, oh, this is me, kind of thing.
Exactly. Like, what's wrong with me? What am I? Yeah. I should have this down by now. I'm 60.
Exactly. I
Mhm.
should be, on the other side. And what's amazing to me is my mom is in her late 80s. And I realized like, oh, I guess we never really do fully figure it out. Like that those just life is
Yeah.
this constant ride of having to negotiate.
Yeah. And don't you love how we have the opportunity every single day to come at it from that lens? No matter what hits us, we have two choices. We get to decide, am I going to let this take me down? Or what else can I do with what's in front of me, or what I'm feeling, or what I'm experiencing, or the loved ones closest to me, what they're experiencing? How can I take that information and learn more about myself through this journey that I'm going to be taking? Because could be me or could be those closest to us, right?
Yeah, it's interesting. When I look back over the arc of my life, and it's always easy to do it in those decades, right? But
Right.
I can really see that the each decade had its own flavor and its own hurdles and lessons, as it were, for me to learn. Um, what really helped me was recognizing, and I'm sort of embarrassed to say this, but I used to feel like I didn't ever give myself the name victim, but
Mm,
my approach to life, and oftentimes when I was going through a big experience or transition, I would oftentimes feel like life was happening to me.
mm,
Like, and I was somewhat there was a part of me that was like, "Wait, it shouldn't be this way. It should be different." When I through personal development and personal growth and my study of the what it means to be a human, I began to see like, "Oh, wow. This this is what it's all about. This is this place of learning again and again." And now, I, like you, have a big toolbox of tools that I can reach into, but it took me a while to really appreciate the toolbox for
mm,
what it was, which was wisdom and experience and lessons learned. But I
right.
think we can oftentimes go through life with that experience of like, wow, it shouldn't be this way. This hurts, or I'm not happy, or there's that underlying meh kind of feeling, just like kind of
Mm,
going through the motions. And so for me, each one of those decades that I came over and I had to deal with new lessons to learn and opportunities. I didn't look like opportunities always at first, but it became that shift began to happen, and that led to a deeper relationship to myself. But
mm.
like you've said in your work, teasing through those feelings of guilt and you know um, was part of the process.
Right. Do you find that as life continues, that toolbox doesn't seem as far away as it used to because of the introspective, reflective practices you've been involved with over those, we'll go decades because that's easier for us to compartmentalize, right?
Yes, I think so. I think that it's remembering, oh yes, I have the toolbox. It's opening up the toolbox and three tools that I think of that really come in handy for me are
Mhm.
things that really got amplified during the pandemic.
Mm,
I began to see that for myself and for my clients, there were three things that kept returning and were helpful for me to remember. And they help me now in
mm,
this climate of so much uncertainty in the world. But and the first one was creativity. How could I look at the situation I was in a different way. You know,
Mm,
there are always many endings to a story, but we forget that. We can think like it's going to be this story. It's going to end like this. But how do we know? How do we
mm,
really, really know? And if you don't like the ending of the story that you're in, how might you use your creativity to write a different ending, right?
mm,
So that's just perspective, right? Like, how could I see
mhm,
this differently such that I don't feel disempowered, that I'm actually shifted into my power? Just the fact that we can entertain another idea, I think is, helps us to tap into that well of creativity and solutions.
yeah,
And
yeah.
that makes us feel so much better. So that's the first tool that I try to remember these days is how could I creatively look at this situation? How could I look at it from a different perspective? Maybe from the other person's perspective, maybe, and or I, like I said, writing a different ending.
Yeah.
Um, so that's the first one. The second one is flexibility. What do I need to let go of?
Mm,
Maybe. What is something I'm holding on to, like an expectation or an assumption that may be right and may not be right?
mm,
You know, so being flexible and being aware of my own capacity for righteousness. Yep,
mhm,
I can be a real self-righteous person, as we all can, right? But when I start to see, like, wait a second, is that really, really important to
mm,
the overall picture of what the outcome I want to create? Or where can I be flexible in this situation? Because that always helps. And then the last piece that I came out of the pandemic was self-care,
mm,
making sure that your my basic needs are okay so that I've eaten enough, I've slept enough, I've exercised so that I'm on my game because when we're halting, hungry, angry, lonely or tired, it's hard to be creative and smart. It just is. We fall into our default modes and it's just like wham, 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 as opposed to, okay, what do I need right now? And a bonus thing is what am I making this mean?
mm,
Making this mean about me? What am I making this mean about life? What am I making this mean about us? When you answer that question, and sometimes it takes some time to get to that, oftentimes that is where there's room to move. I
right.
can't tell you how many times I've made something mean, something negative, when in fact it was an erroneous vision on my part to see it
Right.
that way. So that's the toolbox. Right now, those are the three tools that am tending to reach for the most
Mhm.
because I find that they are really helpful. But I would be an untruthful human to say that I have that down all the time, to know that, right? Like it's a practice, is what
Of
I'm trying to
course.
say, is that it's like sometimes I forget to
Yeah.
open that toolbox, but it's good to remember and to have it on your back at all times.
Yeah. Everything that you're referencing, the creativity, the flexibility, the self-care, all of those things, I've been listening intently to see what was coming out of that conversation. And there's one common foundational piece that exists in everything you spoke of, and even in the halt that you spoke of. And it's all within the grasp of your hands. It's not contingent on anybody else. It's for you, by you, because of you, which is
100.
exactly what we're talking about, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead.
I think taking, it I this used to also be something I was a little bit, you know, taking responsibility for my experience. That was huge for me to really understand. That was the big shift, right? To see like, oh, it doesn't mean that I'm alone for the rest of my life or I can no. In fact, when I started to see that for me, oftentimes I need to ask for help
Mhm.
with computers. You've been such a brilliant help to me in so many different ways. Asking for but understanding that yourself enough to be able to take responsibility for your experience so that you can actually create the experience you want. Now, do we do that? Sometimes that's the practice, but that's where having a coach is so helpful, or
Mhm.
having coaches be your friends is so helpful because it's getting a truthful reflection
Yeah.
what you and this is where I think personal responsibility is such a beautiful thing, but I've got to come up with a different word for it. It's, where it's in our control. Like
Yeah.
you said, it's not based on somebody else, it's based on us. We
Mhm.
have the ultimate say. But
Yeah.
that for a woman is that is not always easy. And I
No.
think but it is 100% a game changer.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Understanding that, and it, I believe, is multiple layers and levels. So very much like the onion approach, where you might peel it back a little bit, but there might be something else that surfaces for you to experience that again and deepen your level of understanding about that responsibility to self, because you are as important, and I would say the most important person in the world for you, by you, because of you. And just shifting that concept, and that's not in an egocentric way. We're not talking you're queen of the mountain, you're king of the hill, none of that. It's just understanding that we have this opportunity to live our lives in fullness. And fullness means the good, the bad, the ugly, and the in between. And how are we going to move through those experiences? And I love the title that you use in terms of shift it, because to me, it's not like you have to, what did they used to say? Throw the baby out with the bathwater. You are the culmination of your life experiences thus far to today, right?
Right.
And you get to shift. Doesn't mean you change everything. And I think, do you find that people approach you and they're like, I want to change, but I am afraid that I'm going to turn into somebody else that I don't even know because I hidden myself away for so long. Do you get that kind of conversation? Yeah.
I don't always get it. I think people are oftentimes very ready, like, to
Mm,
change, right? Like, for me and sometimes my clients might not know exactly
mm,
what they wanna shift,
yeah.
except what they know is that they're stuck. What they know is that something is not working, and I believe, like you do, which all roads lead to self. So, we are talking about empowering our listeners to believe
Mm,
in their power to shift because it's there, but oftentimes we get so stuck in our automatic responses or the way that we've always done something. And it takes a lot of consciousness and awareness to change. But the first step is actually s- believing, I think, or
mhm,
wanting enough to say, oh, okay. I'm ready to do this. I want to do this. It would be, I'll give a silly example, but we live in a technological world. Not
Mhm.
being facile with technology hurts,
Right.
right?
Right.
So what do you want? So I'm, for instance, with me, I'm I'm hiring a computer teacher to teach me about
Yep.
some stuff so that I feel free and I'm not
Mm,
locked into my old, you know, I could say, oh, I'm too old to learn. Really? No, I don't want to,
mm,
I don't want that powerlessness. And I think that's what oftentimes is our motivator to begin the self-discovery or the exploration in our lives to say, okay, how this how could I do this so I feel differently? So
mm,
that my experience is different. And I think it's easy to want it to come from the outside. Oh, I
mm,
won the lottery. Oh, I got the best love object in the world. Oh, whatever. I got the greatest job. And those things are all good. Believe me, I'm not disparaging those men at all. But I am saying that ultimately it's that inside job that
mhm.
I think carries us through.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We could go on and on and on, couldn't we?
I just I mean, I love this topic and I love the fact that you're helping our listeners to understand the importance of themselves.
Yeah.
Because especially when you are changing roles in life. And I just
Mhm.
think it's very easy to go into a headspace that isn't empowering. And like you and I have discussed many times, it this can be, the sweetest part of our lives, and that's what
Yeah.
we're uh, hoping to help our listeners to get to.
100%. Knowing that there is a silver lining and it's way bigger and way closer within your reach than you can imagine. It's
Yeah.
just making those decisions and choices. So, Kate, thank you so much for your gift of time. And I love the way that you support people in such a holistic way, ensuring that at the end of the day, they see themselves for the shining light that they truly are and uncovering all the stuff that's weighing them down so that they can find that path to clarity and responsibility and self care, flexibility, everything that you support your people through. I love what you do. I love the name Shift It. I love that name because it shows possibility for everyone and it is absolutely truth. So thank you so much. I know in the show notes that we have put in how to contact you and how to reach you. Do you want to just share verbally for those of us who are auditory learners in the crowd?
Sure. Yeah, it's Kate. It's www. Kate Crow, KAT. Well, this on the
Yeah.
no
Yeah.
.com. That's it.
Perfect. Beautiful. Is there
Thank you.
anything that you want to share as a closing statement or anything you want to make sure that listeners hear from you as a
No,
closing
I just
idea?
only that yeah, shine bright
Mm,
because I just really believe that um the world needs content and happy as many content and happy people as we can have in the world. And um, if we're on the other side of 40, then I'm going to say the world needs us to help heal what's really broken. And I think it has to do with our relationships, and we need a lot more love. So yeah, that's about it.
I love it. And I'm going to add, I totally agree with you. And starting with self and relationship with self and loving self and being good with pouring back into our own cups is a great way to start that approach.
It's the
Thank
only
you.
way, actually.
Yeah. There you go. There it is. There you have it. It's the only
Yeah.
way. Beautiful. Thank you so much for your time. Make sure you check out Kate's website. It is in the show notes. If you have not yet subscribed to this channel, you want to do that right now because I have these incredible guests every single week. I've been blessed and gifted with these incredible people that share their gifts and talents and knowledge. And next week will be no different. So thank you so much again for being here, Kate. And I look forward to seeing everyone next week. Take care. Bye.
Bye.